Hi everyone, welcome back to Careers with CB, where we discuss about careers, how people did it, and how you can too. Today's guest is somebody who grew up in a small town in India, studied computer science, built a career at Microsoft, and then chose to do her MBA and went to the ESET Business School in Barcelona, worked for a project at CERN in Geneva, came back to India, pivoted to pharma, and then something interesting went to the non-profit world. And somewhere along the way, she wrote a memoir about it. So she's currently a director of product management at Vadvani Foundation, building platforms that impact lakhs of students across the world. And her book is called Leap of Faith. And she's Sindhu. So, hi Sindhu, welcome to the show.
Hi Chaitanya, really nice to be here. Looking forward.
Thank you. Sindhu, let's start from the start. Growing up in India when you are a bright student, so science always comes up as an automatic choice. So, was that the same for you, or was it something that you really wanted to do?
Sure, yeah. I would say I think my childhood was very different because my dad works in a bank, used to work in a bank. So we used to like move around every 3 years, 4 years. So for us, it was always about,
Mm-hmm.
change management, moving from one place to the other, settling in, finding new friends. As a kid, I really enjoyed that phase as a lot because I was able to go to new places, especially when my dad was posted in Delhi. We were able to explore a lot of places nearby. So I think that was great. So for me, childhood was more about figuring out, settling in, making new friends. So I think I would say that was more learning new languages, like moving from south to north.
Yeah.
I had no clue about Hindi, and I remember the first admission test they gave me like a big Hindi paper, and I didn't even know the letters. So I think it was
When you
more
moved up
around
north.
that. When we moved to north. So I think it was more around that versus like what exactly I wanted to do. Honestly, I would say till ninth standard, I was very chilled out student. My parents also keep saying
Mm-hmm.
that. I used to like just enjoy life, play around. I was not really like taking things academically very, very serious. I would say 10th standard is when things have shifted a little bit for me again because of my dad's transfer. We moved to Vijayawada, and that was a new place and a new standard. And of course, 10th class is usually a little bit more intense, right? Since honestly,
Yeah.
for me, it was more about since we moved to a new place, and somehow had a heads up in my ninth standard because the previous school already started 10th grade. So by the time I moved, I already had some head start in terms of academics, so I didn't have the pressure. And once I reached it, since I didn't have a lot of friends, sort of books became my friends. So I never knew I would enjoy study so much. And it's also the teachers, I would say. I think it was one of those schools where I really enjoyed like learning. I remember our English teacher used to like teach this. I don't know if you had the same thing, Chaitanya's. Sherlock Holmes book was one of the books we had it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
English,
we
and
had. Yeah.
teach it was in such an interesting manner.
Hmm.
And it was like everyone used to be like engrossed in this classroom. We all promised to ourselves we will not read the full book, we will listen to it in the class, and the way he taught it, made us all very interested, and we used to like request the next teacher to come a little late so that he could continue the class. So I think it started
Hmm.
purely because of the love, and I would say I've been very, very fortunate to get like the very good teachers at the right time. Even our social
Hmm.
studies madam, Krishna ma'am, she is one of my idols, I would say. And she used to teach social in such a lovely manner, like drawing on the boards, making it very, very interactive. So that's when I started enjoying really. And I didn't really know the roadmap. And that is where in my book also I write about figuring out what's the right career for me. And
Yeah.
we'll talk more about it. But short answer to your question, I didn't know like science was my thing. I was just like
Hmm.
enjoying the subjects, the teachers taught and the ones who taught better. I was inclined more towards those
Right.
reading and subjects where there was very practical element where I could relate to what they were teaching, etc.
So, we talked about your academics, like early life, but as a science student, even reaching Microsoft is a big deal,
Yeah.
right? As an engineer, everybody starts out and thinks that I'll make it to FANG. So, how was that? How was reaching Microsoft?
Sure, sure, absolutely. So I would maybe continue the storyline from the 10th standard, right? So I would say after that period where I started falling in love, that's where I actually started taking my studies uh, like I said, I wouldn't say
Seriously.
seriously, but
Hmm.
I was enjoying it a little bit more, and things started
Hmm.
falling in place. Like I was one of the school toppers, and which was completely unexpected because I was
Hmm.
always this chilled out person, and I had my own self doubts in terms of like, did I really get that much score? Because I was really not like pushing myself or anything like
Hmm.
others, right? So that is how it started, and obviously after that, when I'm entering into the intermediate, I had choice between like a typical Indian choice, right? You go for medical or you go for an engineering stream,
Non-medical,
sort
yeah.
of a thing. I'm glad nowadays people have more choices, but back then that was all we knew, right? So I knew I was not very good at biology, and I knew that I was not fully committed to like a becoming a doctor. I had a friend, I think she's, by the way, she's now a gynecologist, and I remember she used to talk so passionately about becoming a doctor. And for her, I knew that that was the right path and she'll commit.
Yeah.
But for me, I never had that sort of a calling of becoming a doctor, or again, it was also a little bit more of a practical choice, maybe I would say. I really, like I
Hmm.
said, I was chasing the subjects I enjoyed. So I was more of a maths person. I enjoyed
Hmm.
those things. So that is where you can say I started inclining more towards maths versus biology, again, because purely because of the love for the subject. Uh, so I think after that, I distinctly remember while deciding the stream, because when you're moving to engineering, right? So this is where I had slowly started exploring some computer science topics, and I somehow felt connected to computer science. I didn't know what the careers are. I didn't know what that it could lead to Microsoft down the line, but it was definitely when I was like researching for my engineering counseling. I remember telling my dad, "Hey." Everyone was like EC, we'll go after EC, because back then in 2008, for some reason EC was a more preferred.
EC is electronics.
Correct, electronics and
Okay. Okay.
communications. But I somehow had this intuition or passion towards computer science, because I tried it and I
Hmm.
could relate. Again, it's more related towards maths. There is some algorithms, there's some logic. So there was this sense of, hey, I want to pick computer science, even if I get like even if others are going for EC. For some reason I wanted to go to the computer science stream, and so that happened. I actually got a very good rank, and I got an admit into Usmania University Hyderabad
Okay.
campus, computer science. And interestingly, that's one of the top computer science programs you could have in the state, right? So I got into Usmania. Once I joined the college, again, it was not really on my radar to do, like get into my company like Microsoft.
Hmm.
Honestly, second year, third year, while I was enjoying the computer science stream, I was still questioning what do I want to do in my career. So I started actually interestingly preparing for CAT. I said, oh, like
Okay.
I have no idea what I want to do after this. So, and I remember one of my friends talking about MBA. She said, if you do MBA, you can know about lot more things, you can connect all your backgrounds, you will know about how to solve a problem, you get that business mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of new careers open up for you,
Hmm.
because while I knew computer science was one thing which I'm passionate about, I didn't know how to connect it. Will I enjoy just sitting and coding, or will I enjoy something else related to computer science? So
Hmm.
those were the things I was also thinking about. So while I was preparing for CAT, I think in our third year we had Microsoft internship placements happening. So I sat for it. I honestly, for some reason, because I was not really one of the toppers in college, I did not even expect that I will get that opportunity. I just casually took it without any pressure, unlike my peers for whom it was a dream company. Because
You
for me,
seem
my dream
like
was a cat stream. As like IIM was my dream for some reason. So I just went without pressure, and I actually cracked that internship. So I was one of
Right.
the only three people who got selected, and definitely I think one of the life changing events, I would say. I got into that internship, and I honestly, I still had my questions. I started thinking, oh, like, how did I get selected? I'm not a topper. You have those. That is where I write about it a lot in my book as well. In my book, where I talk a lot about imposter syndrome, because a lot of times when you get into things which you feel like, hey, there are other deserving people out there, you start questioning yourself. Did I get lucky and all
Correct.
that?
Correct.
So that is how Microsoft happened. Internship 2 months, and then I was also fortunate to get a full time offer with them. So that's how my journey started. And interestingly, once I got placed into Microsoft, I kind of started thinking, oh, like now that I have Microsoft, then I kind of started taking my CAT preparation obviously a little less seriously, and I thought
Hmm.
maybe I'll work for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and then I will. Think what to do. So the Microsoft journey started with that question mark of I don't know, but definitely I can apply what I learned, get some experience, and then figure out what career works for me.
So you seem like those students who say that I did not study but end up scoring the
Ah.
best marks in the class.
It was more around not. It was not even about I did not study. It was more about I felt that again it's the imposter syndrome, right,
Yeah.
Chaitanya? I don't know if the
Yeah.
audience is familiar with that term. It's that feeling where you feel like did I really deserve this marks? Like,
Correct.
did I
Correct.
get lucky? Whoever corrected my
Hmm.
paper was a little lenient. So you
Hmm.
start questioning the fact that maybe you got more than what you deserved. So
Right.
it was more
Right.
around that. Yeah.
Right. So, would you like to highlight that if for a viewer who's watching this and kind of in between contemplating careers, that um, be it choosing between medical, non-medical, commerce, or
Yeah.
between various engineering streams. So, if a young student is watching that, so how do you figure that out?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great question. See, like I said earlier, the good news today is people have more choices, I would say.
Right.
And on the other hand, when you have more choices, there's also a lot more confusion.
Correct.
Right? This is something I've seen during my MBA experience in Europe and US. Like they're exposed to a lot more streams, and now the same goes in India.
Hmm.
And I would say in those cases, there are a few things that I would personally think of, right? I think more than anything, you really need to start reflecting and figuring out what are the things you truly enjoy, right? Because it's your career, it's a long term thing. You might not know all the answers, but you need to at least find something. Like in my case, like I said, I started from zero, but then slowly I started figuring out, hey, I'm enjoying these subjects. I want to sit in these lectures. I want to
Right.
be in these classes. So you need to really start thinking, what do you really enjoy, right? Like that's the first point I would say. The second thing is obviously alignment with your skill set, right? Natural skill
Hmm.
set. What are you good at? What are your strengths? Because that also kind of links to your in a way, what are the things that you enjoy the most, right? So keep these two in mind. And the third aspect is, I would say, it's a constant discovery process. I know, like, especially choosing a stream feels like a big thing, like medical
Right.
versus engineering back then. Interestingly, Chaitanya, in my experience now, and since I've been exposed to that MBA experience globally, and I've seen nowadays it's not necessary that once you pick a stream, you're stuck
Hmm.
in that stream, right?
Yeah.
For example, I've seen a lot of people from medical profession who are in the pharma. So after my MBA, when I worked in pharma as a senior brand manager, I've seen people with a medical background also working with me, and I'm from an engineering background. So eventually, as they made a conscious choice to come back to corporate instead of working in the
Right.
healthcare or as a doctors. And many of them were actually trained doctors, and some of them, of course, after their MBBS, they decided to move into the corporate space. So my point is, it's not necessary that once you make that choice, your career is defined for the next 30-40 years. You
Right.
could always start diverging. You could always pursue things that matter. this is where I truly believe, I think you would have seen my quotes as well. Like, career is truly a jungle gym, and I am so glad I came across this quote. I truly believe career is not a ladder, right? So, no matter what choice you make, you always have a choice to then connect your story and then move to the industries that really mean much to you.
Right,
So you can
right,
truly carve out your path. So, and especially in today's world, Chaitanya, now because of the disruption
yeah,
happening, it's all about skills. It's not about
correct,
degrees,
correct,
honestly. So I'm so happy for that disruption because you can really build those skills and move into anything. A doctor can
right,
build. A doctor can literally sit and build apps. We have seen that, and
right,
they can become
right,
content creators. They can become influencers. Similarly, an engineer can, like I said, I myself moved to pharma. I was able to work alongside doctors to create an impact in the medical space. So it's all about connecting the dots and figuring out. So I would say it's not like a 0 to 1 decision. It is more around, hey, you pick the one that feels right to you, but keep introspecting, keep working on it as a constant discovery. No, don't take it as,
right.
okay, now I'm in this, I'm done. So that is what
It's not
we
an end game that
exactly,
once you choose.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Especially today, like I think I would agree on this that with AI, say suppose I am from a commerce background, but I can still code and write apps and understand that. So I think that bridge of the knowledge gap, that hey, this is not something that I do, that has decreased, that I can quickly look up, I can understand, and I can execute. The only thing that matters in today's world is, I would say, first principles thinking, that your ability to understand and your ability to execute, the gap in between can be bridged easily.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think building those fundamentals and really, like you rightly said, the first principles thinking is what will help you, and constantly like take time to think of what do you really want to do, and it might not happen in a year. Like for me, before I went for my MBA, I was clear I wanted to be the impact space. I wanted to
Hmm.
connect my technology background, but I had no like direct. I couldn't have predicted that now I would have landed as a director of product with Vadvani Foundation, right? So
Right.
it is not something you can know, but you need to constantly explore your options, keep trying out different things, and that will really help you. And I'm not necessarily saying you have to shift companies. Even if you're in a
Hmm.
single company nowadays, there's so many options. So, for example, at Microsoft itself, I was very privileged. I was able to explore different roles. So, I worked as a developer in Microsoft within the 2 years. Of course, back then we had that program which allowed me to work as a program manager, to work as a test engineer, and I took those opportunities. Not a lot of people, even in the rotational, ended up doing the development roles only for 2 3 rotations, but I consciously chose to work in different teams, different roles. So those opportunities do exist even if you're in the same organization, to try out different things. So that way, you will be able to figure
Yeah,
out what you're good at and where that leads to in the long term.
yeah. So do you want to talk more about your experience at Microsoft?
Sure. So I think Microsoft, like I said, it was like first thing, like looking back, what I really loved about it is the ability to work in different teams.
Hmm.
I joined Microsoft in 2012. 2012 to 14 was the period I was there, and it was truly amazing because, like I said, when I joined, I was not really sure where I wanted to go. In fact, while I was there, I was preparing for my MBA, I was preparing for my CAT because I see the pros and cons. The positives were I was enjoying my time at Microsoft in terms of getting to work with amazing people, trying out different roles, because that was one of the times when I realized that while I did the development role and then I moved to the program manager role, I realized I'm more inclined to a program manager kind of a role where I'm able to
Hmm.
connect what I'm working on. Because I distinctly remember we had one workshop and someone was saying, hey, now start picturing where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years, 10 years. And at that point in time, I had no idea. I was not picturing myself sitting and doing coding for the next 10 years. I was not able to visualize myself being a small dot in a bigger organization as well. So I think that really led me to start introspecting and start thinking what next. And so again, while I was preparing for my MBA, since I had 2 years of experience by then, I kind of switched from CAD to GMAT because ISB is
Okay.
also next
Yeah.
door to Microsoft. So,
In
after 2 years
Hyderabad.
in Hyderabad, correct.
Okay.
So I started applying, thinking about the GMAT route, and that's where I
Hmm.
started talking to a lot of people to really figure out how to move to the impact space. So during that time is when I started volunteering for this organization called eVidya Loka, and as a
Okay.
teacher. So at Microsoft, while I enjoyed the different streams, I was still figuring out what is the right role for me, and I
Hmm.
was not clear in terms of the long-term career path, right? So that is when one of the times when I was also volunteering as a teacher for this organization called Evidya Loka. So this was one of the clubs I was part of at Microsoft, and we used to teach kids through Skype, kids in remote villages. I used to teach them math, science. I really enjoyed that time, and I distinctively remember while teaching one of the kids. This is something I write about in my book as well. While I was teaching that day, I was taking the class from the office. I was teaching, and then suddenly the lights turned off. So the kid said, "Madam, I think current is not there."
Hmm.
So then I waved my hands. I said, no, no, here they have sensors. Since I'm sitting and teaching, the sensors
Yeah.
thought I was not here and they turned off the light. They didn't believe. They said, no, 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 that is the, how will that work? It sounds like magic. Can you show it again? So I sat there for a few seconds and then I showed them again and again and again, 3, 4 times. And they really the spark that you see in their faces, like it
Hmm.
was such a pure joy. And like things we take for granted, right? For me it was like a normal thing because every day I go to the office, the sensors get turned on, and sometimes you're just, it's a normal thing for you, and you
Yeah.
even sometimes think, oh, the sensors are not great because you're sitting, but it so anyway, I'll just wrap it up and then we can move to the next question probably.
Right.
Yeah, while I was teaching those kids, and when they asked me about that small thing that we take for granted, right, I realized that there's a pure joy, right? Like one of the students said, "Madam, like I want to work in a place like that where magic happens." So this is
Hmm.
literally what in the regional language I was teaching in Telugu. So this student literally said this, that I want to work in that kind of place where magic happens. So, and I felt really empowered because I was able to create that impact for those kids, right? I was teaching like 10 to 15 students,
Yeah.
and they were able to aspire towards something bigger. Like they were not exposed to these things in their village, and they now have these big aspirations. So I really enjoyed that moment, and I realized, hey, this is something I want to do, creating impact at scale through technology. Because while I was enjoying that, it was still 10 students, right? I was constantly thinking, how could I reach more students, thousands of students? And that is not possible unless you have like a clarity in terms of what you want to do. So I
Right.
knew that, hey, this is something I want to do at scale, but what it
Hmm.
is I don't know. And looking back, like if you connect my journey now at Vadvani Foundation, that is exactly what I do. I work as a director of product, leading the skilling initiative, and we have a platform. It's an edtech platform. It's a free for all platform where learners can come and gain employability skills. So I think, and it's globally available in all emerging economies: India, Mexico, Philippines, Brazil. And the best part is, it's like I said, it's a free platform where learners can come and they can improve their skills to get into their jobs, what we call as to gain a family supporting wage job. So we are in the space of creating jobs and changing lives, and on the skilling side, it's about making sure they have the right skills to get into those jobs.
So
So
in hindsight, it worked out for you.
correct, correct. Of
Right.
course, I didn't know all of this back then, but
Yeah.
again, that's the whole thing. Like they say, you can only connect the dots moving backwards, right?
Correct. Correct. So, throughout our conversation, you have always mentioned that while doing your engineering, you were preparing for CAT. While your
Yeah,
work at Microsoft, you were also between the CAT and GMAT debate.
yeah,
So, why being in tech and being at a very top niche role in tech, how was MBA always in the picture?
sure. Definitely. See, I think it all connects to what I was saying, like figuring out what I truly enjoy. Like I said,
Hmm.
see, for 2 years, 3 years, what I was doing was okay. I did not picture myself in that same company for the next 5, 10 years because, again, it was more me, right? I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I was chasing that, meaning in a way, right? Like, what do
Hmm.
I truly enjoy? And like I said, impact was something by that time I had like a few uh, fundamental blocks that I was trying to gather. I realized impact is something I enjoy. And I do want to look at the bigger picture. So for me, it was more about okay, if I'm working on a product, I think one of the things that I was struggling is if I'm working on a very, very small thing and it doesn't truly relate to the impact, for me it becomes a little bit challenging to relate to what I'm doing on a daily basis, right? So I was just trying to figure out how do I get to the big picture. And like I said, I back then one of my friend talked about MBA very passionately. She said, hey, when you do MBA you get exposed to all the pieces, the bigger picture, you understand strategy, you understand business, you understand how products are built. So it was more because I never got that exposure during my schooling to understand how products are built, how you create impact at scale, right? So these are the things that I wanted to understand better. So slowly as I started preparing, I thanks to the process also, right? When you're applying for MBA, you are also during the interview process or during the process of applications, you are also asked what do you want to do, what are your goals, what are your
Yeah.
strengths. So during that process I started figuring out that okay, like I want to be in the impact space, but again I didn't have the full story baked in what it is. I don't know, at one point in time I was talking about becoming a impact consultant, I was talking about becoming a social entrepreneur. There were multiple, because even impact space is broad, right? Like what do you
Right.
want to do?
Right.
So that is how that journey started for me, Chaitanya, and the whole application process. This is what I tell people who reach out
Hmm.
to me, that what is the
Hmm.
right college for me,
Hmm.
what is the ROI. For me, honestly, when I talk to them, I say don't look at the ROI. I know a lot of times people think of doing
Yeah.
MBA are from an ROI perspective to increase their salaries, etc. But honestly, if I had thought about those things, I don't think I would have entered an MBA path because I was already in very good companies, and
Correct.
that wouldn't have made sense. But for me, it was more about building my skills, identifying what's the right career, and getting that broader knowledge of beyond sitting and coding, right? Like how do you build
Correct.
products? So I think
Correct.
that was my motive, and I really pushed myself in that journey to truly be true to myself, right? To figure out what I want to do. And I think that is where I'm glad while the journey started off with ISB, I ended up with ISADE Business School in Spain. I think that's also a very interesting story. But the decision I made was also very conscious because
Hmm.
ISADE has a very huge focus on impact and I get a global exposure. And I'm so glad because at ISADE I was able to see people making what we call triple jumps, moving across countries, across industries, across roles. So you see that everything is possible. You
Yeah.
see that hey, it is possible to like really move into whatever space that you want, whatever role you want. So that is how after MBA I was able to move to a pharma industry. I was joining them in their leadership development program. I worked in sales and marketing in pharma. So I had no idea about those things when I was an engineer, right? So
Yeah.
that's what MBA truly opens up for you. And of course, it's also what you make out of it.
Right.
So yeah, that was my journey, Chaitanya.
So, if there's a tech professional that is watching this and has MBA somewhere at the back of the
Yeah,
mind, but is also contemplating that, hey, money-wise, it does not
yeah,
really make a lot of sense that I'm already earning great. Tech salaries
correct.
obviously match up, and I'll be investing a lot of time and money in this. So, what would be your answer to it?
Sure. See, I think it also depends on their circumstances, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of times people do ask me. So you also need to evaluate your own financial situation. Do you have enough savings? Because it's a big decision, right? Like if you want
Correct.
to do like a full-time MBA, 1 year, 2 years, you of course you also invest for the education. It's definitely an investment, I would say, in yourself and in your
Hmm.
long-term career. Having said that, you really need to evaluate financially. You need to work towards it. So I, for example, because I was very clear, I worked towards it. I had my savings. And then I was someone who also said, hey, I'm going to take my own loan, because obviously international
Yeah.
MBAs are quite
Yeah.
expensive. And I also made a conscious decision. The reason why I chose Europe was US was very expensive, and for
Hmm.
you to do an MBA in US and then coming back to India, because for me that was always important, because I
To
wanted that
come back
local
to India.
exposure. To come back to India was really
Okay.
important, because
Okay.
while I enjoy traveling and staying out, I truly feel that I love my lifestyle. I love my family back in India, so I wanted to stay
Hmm.
here. So that was the decision I made, right? Like looking at the MBAs, call programs where the fees such that you're able to. So in my case, I had some savings and then I took a loan and I was able to come back and pay that through my job in India. And so I think it's important that you have a plan towards it. If you're really looking at, hey, I'm investing this much, after this will I get this much in the short term, I would say it wouldn't add up, but in the
Yeah.
long term it pays off, Chaitanya. So you have to have a long term view. And see, the thing is, there are multiple options these days. Of course, if you can afford, and if you there are also scholarships, I would definitely suggest going for a program if that is what you want. And at the same time, of course, nowadays there's a lot of options as well. If that is not something you can afford, you can't take a break, financially you are not there, then there are
Right.
two options. Either you work for a couple of more years, have those savings and get into that space. And there are also multiple programs, right? 1 year, 2 years. So you can also work towards that.
Even blended programs these
Blended
days.
programs,
Yeah.
exactly. Hybrid programs where you could do online, you don't have to quit, and part-time MBAs are also an option, because it's more about the exposure. Of course, in-campus offline exposure is very different, but it's
Right.
all about trade-offs, right? You need to
Yeah.
think through about your situation and take a decision. My only suggestion there is, think more from a long-term ROI, long-term in perspective,
Perspective.
versus
Hmm.
taking a very short term. It wouldn't make sense. I think
Right.
nowadays any masters, I think
Right.
everyone is thinking, see, again, now we are in a different world. Now it's again about skills. There's a lot of certifications, so you really need to think, what is it that you want to gain? Is it the
Right.
skill? Is it the network? Is it figuring out what you want? So depending on that, you need to pick a program which allows us to explore. So in
Right.
my case, for example, since I was in that exploration phase,
Hmm.
I had to get into a program which gave me a lot of exposure. So ISADE, I was fortunate, it was a very flexible program. So we have an option to do 12-month, 15-month, or the full 2 year program, depending on what you do. So because I was in a figuring out mode, I decided to the full program. I did my exchange
For
with.
2 years.
Exactly. I did a full
Okay.
program. I did my exchange with Duke University. I did a project with CERN Geneva, which was focused on impact, and with the CERN scientists, which is a very prestigious program. And I
Hmm.
also got an opportunity to do internship in the healthcare space. So I did my
Okay.
internship with Eli Lilly, and that's how I understood. I enjoyed that, and then I converted into a full-time employee into the leadership program. So, and that gave me that switch to healthcare, right? Because I was able
Right.
to get that exposure and figure out. So again, so that's that. So what is your goal? And then depending on that, you need to figure out the right program
Right.
and then take the decision.
Right. So, coming back to Isade, how was the choice between deciding between ISB
Yeah.
or schools in Europe versus the
Sure.
US?
Definitely. I think that's a great question, because earlier I was saying I was preparing for, I switched from
Yeah,
CAT IIM to GMAT because of ISB. It was next
correct.
door. And I heard, of course, a lot of things about ISB, and I had to push myself really hard for GMAT. In fact, when I started applying, I used to think that, oh, like, because I did well academically, I thought, oh, I'll crack GMAT in an attempt,
Yeah.
but that did not happen. I was great at quant. Verbal is something that kept me pushing, and I had to give multiple attempts. And it was a journey for me to crack that GMAT and the MBA applications.
Hmm.
So during that time, because of course, the whole reason why I started that was ISB, and I was doing a lot of research. I was cracking the GMAT score, especially so that it's good enough for an ISB college, right?
Okay.
So I got a good score after multiple attempts, and I even like cracked the initial screening round. I got an interview with ISB. Um, I would say after the interview with ISB, I somehow thought I nailed it. I talked about, oh, like, I worked in tech and now I want to move to the impact space. I want to
Hmm.
become a social entrepreneur. So I did all of this pitch. While they asked me a lot of practical questions in terms of how will that happen in the next 1 year? I don't think I had those answers. So in a
Okay.
way, the ISB, after the interview, I did not make it to ISB.
Okay.
And that is when I also realized a 1 year program was very short for me, because I think all the
Okay.
questions they asked also made sense, because I had such a short time to then, we did not have space to do internships, to do all of these. It was a very, very
What
short
was
program.
your experience while you were applying?
Applying, yeah, so applying for ISB, you mean, or
Yeah,
generally?
for MBA programs in
Sure,
general,
sure.
what was your experience? No, no. How long had you worked at Microsoft while you were applying?
Oh, the work experience.
Yeah.
Got it. It was 4 years of experience.
Okay.
Yeah,
After four
4. So
years.
when I started, it was 2, 3 years, because I started writing GMAT when I had 2 to 3 years of experience, but it took longer to crack the GMAT, and it was a
Okay.
journey for me, right? So cumulative, I had 4 years of experience. And so when I was applying, that is when I started, because I can't just apply to one college, right? So that is when I
Right.
started exploring other colleges. US, like I said, was very expensive for me,
Correct.
so I
Correct.
ruled out US. So that's when I started exploring colleges in Europe and
Hmm.
Singapore. There is Nanyang, NUS,
Yeah.
ISAE, there
Yeah.
is HUS Paris. There's so Europe had a lot of programs which were actually as the tuition fees equivalent to an Indian college. Of course, the added on expenses will be your stay and
Correct.
your travel,
Correct.
etc. So I
Hmm.
thought, why not? Because MBA is all about exposure. So that
Yeah.
is when I started exploring. And for me, I truly, while I was, I had applied for 4 to 5 colleges along with ISB. Somewhere, of course, I did. ISB, I still had people I could talk to. ISADE and the
Correct.
outside colleges, the thing was, I did not have anyone I could talk to. So through
Right.
LinkedIn, I reached out to
Yeah.
people, and some of them have truly helped me. One of the seniors, Benita, I'm still in touch with her. She's the
Okay.
one who shared her experience at ISADE. And like
Hmm.
I said, I spoke to a lot of ISADE alumni.
Hmm.
And the best part was, like I said, they talked about these programs. They said, hey, there is this CERN program where you get to work on an impact project with scientists, with a diverse team from across the globe. It's a very prestigious program. And they also talked about, like I said, the program itself is very flexible, because that is,
Hmm.
like I said, that was one of the times when I was realizing that a 1 year program was probably too short for me to
Yeah.
experiment, to do an internship, to see if I like that job or not. So I think that was my experience, and I'm so glad I explored outside. So this is what I tell
Right.
people: don't get stuck like in that application phase. Make sure that you're talking to 100 people, whoever you can, and get all your options, and then slowly start
Hmm.
eliminating the ones which are not making sense. Because if I had not done that exploration, if ISB had happened in that first crack, in the first
Right.
attempt, I would have
Right.
cracked GMAT, got a very good score. My GMAT was also, I would say, it was not like a 730. I got 710 after 2 attempts.
Hmm.
730, 740 would have increased my chances. But I'm so glad that journey led me to discover what I truly want, right?
Yeah.
Led me to ISADE and the program. And like I said, looking back, that's like the best program. This is what I tell all my MBA
Okay.
friends. I'm so glad
Hmm.
I got a reject from ISB. Again, it
Hmm.
was a choice for me. Do I want to apply to ISB again next year?
Yeah.
But I started connecting to the program when I got this admit, and during the application itself, I realized that, oh wow, like there's so much I can learn, because MBA for me was all about exposure and getting. And I saw
Right.
the profiles of the alumni. They work in different industries. Like I said, this college is known for having people who make jumps across industries. Every college has advantages and
Hmm.
disadvantages, right?
Hmm.
For me, that felt moving into an impact space felt more closer with ISADE. So that is where I
Yeah.
took that choice of joining ISADE Business School. Yeah.
Great. So, in if you had to put in 2026 context,
Yeah.
ISB versus Europe schools
Yeah.
versus US schools,
Yeah.
so what would your comparison be?
See, honestly, now you know there's a lot happening in the US. So, and
Yeah.
I've always kind of ruled out US. So, from
Yes.
that perspective, see, at the same time, I'm glad I also got an exchange opportunity with Duke University.
Correct.
It's one of
Correct.
the most prestigious colleges in US, and I got that opportunity to. So I was there for a good 5 to 6 months, and
Hmm.
see, of course, the kind of exposure you get is really different.
Unmatched.
Um, but from a perspective of if you're someone, especially if you're moving from India, now you know that in
Hmm.
US the
Right.
situation is quite unstable. So I
Right.
think I talk to a lot of people. So it's a huge risk, and especially with the visa and everything.
Correct.
So that is one thing to keep in mind. Again, it's a
Yeah.
choice. If you're very clear that hey, I want to work in the US, because US also has a lot more opportunities,
Hmm.
right? So from that perspective, while it is hard, if you feel like that is important for me, yes, you can always consider it. But yeah, considering India, Europe, and US is definitely hard right now from that
Correct.
perspective.
Correct.
See, between ISB, India versus Europe, I would
Hmm.
say the choice also depends on what exactly, like multiple things, right? One is your financial situation, like I said,
Right.
because definitely Europe will be expensive versus ISB.
Hmm.
The second aspect is, are you also persistent? Because unlike in India, the top business schools where the placements are like you will get a job within the
Yeah.
campus
Yeah.
and
It's placement camp college driven placement.
college driven
Yeah.
placements, and you there again there are advantages and disadvantages. I know there's a lot of pressure because in 2 days they come to campus and all the
Yeah.
placements happen, so you're making choices in the pressure versus which company is coming for. So there's always trade-offs, right? You have to figure out. Versus Europe, it is more driven by you, right? There also, again, there are placements. By the way, I got placed into Lily through the college placement itself. So
Hmm.
it was a global campus leadership program that they came to ISADE, and I got placed to the campus. In Europe, however, this it's slightly even in US for that matter, Europe or US, it is more driven by you. You have to
Yeah.
network, you have to go out there, you have to pitch yourself. So that requires a lot more persistence. There is a little bit of more uncertainty, I would say, because I also had classmates who were looking for jobs a few months after their MBA, and I know they landed in great opportunities, but it also requires a lot of resilience. And a lot
Yeah.
of times, these were the people who were very clear that hey, I want to move to a different industry and I want to work in this country only. And there are language barriers; you need to know the language
Correct.
sometimes
Correct.
for a specific role. So it requires a lot more persistence, and you need to be a little bit more like I said, you have to learn those life skills of you have to go and you have to network and you have to
Correct.
identify. So that's the trade-off. So but the upside is the exposure. Like I mean, I now have friends across the globe. So
Right.
any
Right.
country you say, I know I have a friend there, or I know I can talk to someone. So that kind of an exposure is invaluable, right? I know
Right.
in India, in the Indian colleges, we try to
Hmm.
get the diversity, but it's majorly ISB or IMs, it's all
Right.
Indian students.
Right.
Same goes for US also. Majority, I know they have slightly better diversity, but in Europe, if you see it, again, I don't know if it's purely at ISADE,
Hmm.
the kind of diversity we have is amazing. So make sure you get people from 50 plus countries, and it's a true diversity, Chaitanya.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that is what it is. See, again, 2026 or 2016, when I had to make the choice,
Yeah.
it depends on understanding your choices, and then you have to make a decision. And
Correct.
like I said, it is a long term thing. So you have to make that
Right.
choice and don't feel that FOMO that, oh, my friend from this college got this much package. It's not about that. It's
Hmm.
more about you. Again, what if your goal is that, then go for it. If your goal is like to really optimize on your,
Explore.
no, nothing wrong in that. If you feel like,
Yeah.
hey, right now I'm underpaid and I want to 2x or 3x my salary, good for you. I
Hmm.
think that is also a good goal. When you're young, why not, right? Because
Yeah.
you should also make sure that you're getting a value for what you are offering value
Hmm.
for. So I think that is great. So I think these are the points I would say. Keep these things in mind. Do research, talk to people, explore opportunities, and then make an informed decision.
Right. Okay, so let's move forward and talk about how was coming back to India after a global MBA and how was the Indian market back then?
Yeah, sure, sure, definitely. I think I did my internship, like I said, with Eli Lilly. It was a campus placement.
Hmm.
So by the way, during the internship, also I got a couple of other opportunities. I had one in Malaysia, and I also had one opportunity in Europe.
That Eli Lilly internship was in India or
It was in India. It
okay.
was in India, correct. So it
And you
was in Pune.
consciously chose to take a internship in India.
Exactly, because there were
Okay.
two reasons, right? While I had exposure and I also had a couple of other internships, they were more on the tech side. They were related to the
Okay.
opportunities that the work I already built.
Huh.
With Eli Lilly, it was my attempt to move into the impact space, right? So that is
Okay.
one. The second aspect was, it was. like I said, I was also contemplating, right? Like since I wanted to move back to India, and
Hmm.
Isade, of course, is not a big brand in India, like unlike
Correct.
an ISB or IIM. So
Right.
for me, that was also important that, like since I had this opportunity, I wanted to get into that, and if I'm able to convert it into a full-time role. And Lily, by the way, they have a great leadership development program.
Hmm.
It's a global program, and yeah, so I took that opportunity, and like I said, I was one of those lucky ones who was able to get placed through campus itself. Otherwise you have to also do a lot of networking. So
Yeah.
because I was in Europe and like applying to companies in India, that would have been a little bit challenging, especially in the impact space where I did not have network. I have
Yeah.
my network in the tech space. I did not know anyone who works in the impact space, so I had to build that network, right? So yeah, so that way, because I was able to do my internship and then convert it, and I was able to move back to India into a full-time position, so for me it worked out. Having said that, when you're looking for a switch, right, or generally speaking, a lot
Hmm.
of people do come back from outside. See, it is not going to be easy because people don't know about your colleges, because in India
Correct.
they know, and there is a set like IIMs and ISB. Like the really good thing about them is they have a very good brand, and they have
Right.
the
Alumni
becomes,
network
yeah,
and
alumni network is
yeah.
there, and then when the HRs or recruiters look at your profile, they know. So when you're studying outside, now it's up to you to make sure you communicate the importance of this college. So
Right.
how you have to make explain. So of course, in my resume, I talk about SRD being one of the top business schools. So you have to
Hmm.
mention those things, and what are the so in a way you have to create your own network.
Right.
The good thing is even ISADE has a great network in India. While it is not
Okay.
as huge, a lot of people are working in Bangalore. We have our own alumni chapter, so being active in those communities. I'm one
Yeah.
of the board members. I'm also fortunate to be active in the Duke network because I did my exchange. I'm also in
At
that
Duke.
community. In yeah,
Okay.
Duke has a great community, and of course, so it's like that, right? So see, when it comes to networking, it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Yeah.
So it is more about, you creating those spaces for yourself, you making sure that you proactively reach out.
Hmm.
Like I said, when I was applying for ISADE, I did not know anyone, but I reached
Yeah.
out to people. One of them was nice enough to talk to me, and I'm still in touch with her. Like recently also, she came to Bangalore. She stays in Delhi, I stay
Hmm.
in Bangalore, but that person who guided me for my MBA, I'm still in touch with her. So it's up to
Yeah.
you to make sure that you maintain those connects,
Correct.
and that will take you a long way. And yeah, so overall, I think that was my experience. I'm building my network consciously, and the best part is globally, I already have a network through my college.
Yeah.
So staying in
So
touch with them,
I
etc.
think what you said in terms of having quality networks instead of
Yeah,
quantity, that pays you off.
absolutely.
So, how long did you work at Eli Lilly before
Yeah.
moving back to the impact space?
Sure, sure. So with Eli Lilly, I joined in their leadership development program. So the best part is they make you again work in different roles. So they have
Okay.
this mandate of working in the sales, especially if you join their leadership program. So I was very
Hmm.
fortunate to get that exposure. For 6 months, I was working as a sales rep as part of the training. It was
Okay.
incredible. Like I was working in Gurgaon, so going to the hospitals
Hmm.
and talking to the doctors, really understanding your customers, gaining those skills was
Yeah.
incredible. And after that, typically, since it's a part of a bigger program, after 6 months you get into a role which you can work more permanently in. So I was moving into a brand manager role, and again I was very fortunate. I was responsible for a new medicine launch in the oncology space,
Okay.
so which was a great opportunity because very few people get an opportunity to work on a new drug launch in India. Of
Hmm.
course, this was a medicine available globally. We were working
Yeah.
on a launch strategy, so I was a senior brand manager for that launch for that medicine. So I
Hmm.
worked in that oncology space, very new for me. I learned a ton from my manager, my mentors over there on how to approach it, how do you uh, create a launch strategy. And of course, oncology, it is such a sensitive space, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever you bring in, you need to really deeply understand the
Correct.
space. And now we talk about understanding your customers, empathizing, etc., right? So for me, I think that experience in healthcare pharma was game changing because we truly went very, very, very deep into each of our, you know patients or beneficiaries, because you
Mm-hmm.
have to understand what they're going through. It's
Yeah.
truly about understanding their journey, what are they going through, how is whatever medicine that we are offering, how does it help them, how does it support them, how does it support their family, how does it make their life better, right? So it was a truly transformational journey. And it's also about because a lot of times, of course, in the healthcare space, it's also the doctors, right? You have to also connect with the doctors.
Correct.
So really, like, understanding and like talking to someone like a doctor oncologist, or like, their time is very valuable. So when you
Right.
are going and talking to them as a young MBA professional, you have to
Yeah.
make sure you build your brand. You're going and adding value to a 30-second conversation, because these are the people who are truly changing lives, right?
Correct.
So I think that was a huge learning for me. I worked in Eli Lilly for a couple of years. Great company, I would say. A lot of learnings for me about impact, because that was my first journey into the impact space. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there were a couple of reasons why I also actively started looking out for new opportunities. One, at that time, I was working in Delhi. This is with Eli Lilly, and this was pre-COVID days, and we had to
Okay.
go to, of course, like I said, it's a travel job. Back
Yeah.
then, because of personal reasons, my mom had some health issues, so unfortunately, I had to. Um, it was very difficult to travel from. They were staying in the south, and it was getting very difficult. And this was pre-COVID, so there was no work from home. And of course, in healthcare, even during COVID, you have to go to
Yeah.
the hospitals and talk to the patients, etc., and then you have to talk to the doctors. So it's more hands on that way. So
Correct.
during that time, because of my personal situations, I had to decide to move
Hmm.
south, and I was looking for more of a remote opportunities at that point in time because of the situation. And around the same time, since I always had this impact, and like I said,
At
while
the back
healthcare
of
was a
your
great
head.
experience,
Yeah.
one of the things I missed was applying my tech background. Because
Okay.
healthcare, while I was learning all these new things, I was also somewhere missing that, at scale, if I have to do, I have to use my technology expertise. So that's
Correct.
when I started looking into opportunities where there's impact, there's also technology. And that is when,
Hmm.
during that whole phase of networking and reaching out, I actually stumbled upon Madhvani Foundation. And if you
Okay.
look at the mission, it's all about that, right? Creating impact at scale using technology. So I think it really connected the dots for me. And for me, it's been 6 years with Vadvani Foundation. I recently completed 6 years. This is
That's
my
awesome.
longest stint in any organization, and I'm so glad because I was able to figure out and get into a role which fits in into my personal goals. Like I said, impact
Yeah.
at scale using technology. So that's
Yeah.
what I do currently in my current role as well.
Great. Having a hefty MBA loan, working at Eli Lilly, which is a big conglomerate, having all of that, but choosing your passion and moving to Vadhvani. So, how was the pivot from working for a big corporation, be it Microsoft and Eli Lilly, to coming back to impact space?
Absolutely. See, I think this is where I would say a lot of people think, like even now, right? Like a lot of people, when I say I'm working with Vadvani Foundation or a non-profit, people automatically assume that, it's not equivalent to a corporate. So the
Yeah.
best part with Vadvani Foundation is, I think it's one of those rare companies which challenges the norms. I think our chairman, Mr. Ramesh Vadvani, who's a Padma Shri, he's a serial entrepreneur himself. So the way
Okay.
he built this organization is, it works like, we all discuss this internally. It's like an edtech. It's like a startup. That the
Hmm.
environment we have here and the culture, the talent that he's brought in this organization is as good as a corporate, as good as a
Hmm.
startup, as good as
Hmm.
any other firm which is working on the cutting edge. So by the way, Romesh has been huge in this. He's been neck deep in the AI space for the last 20 years. And
Okay.
right now we are at that within the foundation. Like I said, we are working on solutions at scale. So it's all about product driven thinking, platform driven thinking. So
Yeah.
the best part in this organization I'm working for and in this space is, it is actually a blend of that, right? So it is, like you
Okay.
said, I never miss that culture. In fact, here it is a lot more dynamic, a lot more things change, and we keep pushing ourselves because we are looking at impacting millions of people at scale. In
Yeah.
fact, in our recent offsite, also our CEO was talking about it. While we are doing great things, because we have a lot of collaboration, we create impact in India. If you see, we have like reached such a massive scale. We work with the government, we work with Ministry of Education, we work with at such a massive scale, and there's so much impact we create. We still keep pushing ourselves to make sure, while we are reaching so many students, are we helping them with their end game? Are we helping them with making sure they have the right skills? Are we
Yeah.
helping them to become self employed, or are we helping them to get into those jobs that can truly help them to create a family supporting wage, right? So
Yeah.
that's our end mission. So that way, it's I would say intellectually very very challenging, one of
Hmm.
the most challenging roles I would have had done, and that is what kept me going for a long time.
Correct.
So my point to your question is, a lot of times people think, again, there are all these biases and stereotypes
Hmm.
that you have. So you have to figure out, again, every organization has pros and cons, right? So you have to, and don't make assumptions, go out there, talk to people, find those companies, because even
Yeah.
I didn't know about Vadhwani
Correct.
Foundation
Correct.
7 years back. It
Yeah.
was during the application process I stumbled upon,
Hmm.
and then I realized, oh wow, like this is a great fit for me.
Yeah.
Yes, externally, of course, like you said, see, like when it comes to communicating, people will ask you those questions. Hey, how come you were working in Microsoft, now you're in an impact space? But again,
Yeah.
it's up to you to decide your story and explain that story,
Correct.
right? So
Correct.
you have to own what you want and what is important for you,
Yeah.
and then you make sure that that story is clear for you in your mind, and then you can also explain that and
Right.
create more awareness in terms of what is possible.
Right. So I think Sindhu, that was a great answer. And before we move to the last segment of rapid fire, I would really love if you talk about your book and the community that you're building.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So, Chaitanya, I think during COVID time, I realized that, writing was something I always used to enjoy.
Hmm.
I journal a lot, I write a lot. I think that's always been something I enjoyed. Used to start with like a physical diary, writing down my thoughts, to now using digital diaries or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I somehow realized I was by the way, I'm an introvert. Like people think
Okay.
that, oh, like you connect and everything, but I need my own space, so I
Hmm.
need that, and I'm also sometimes not really, back then, at least few years back, I was not really very confident to share my thoughts openly. So I
Hmm.
used to write, but I used to post anonymously. I was not really comfortable putting my brand out there or sharing
Yeah.
my thoughts with the public, right? During COVID time, I would say something shifted and I started writing. And of course, back then, LinkedIn was also slowly becoming a platform where you could professionally share your thoughts and help
Right.
others. I've
Right.
always been someone who helps people. If someone reaches out to me to
Hmm.
with their career dilemma, or they need some
Yeah.
inputs for their MBA, I've always used to help people.
Hmm.
So I thought, why don't I start putting those thoughts on my LinkedIn page so that more people benefit from it, and
Right.
I can also learn from others. So during that time, I started posting slowly on LinkedIn, small articles during COVID, and it was more for me. It was more for me to
Hmm.
come out of my own
Yeah.
bubble and to be comfortable sharing, voicing my opinions. So it started off with that, and Vadhwani Foundation. I think I had great manager, and he used to also encourage me, and it was also about me learning and building my skill set of
Hmm.
writing, storytelling, etc. So during that time, I had actually stumbled upon this workshop by Rashmi Bansal. So Rashmi Bansal is
Okay.
the author of Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, Connect the Dots. She's one of the best-selling authors in India.
Hmm.
And so I actually grew up reading her books. So I remember during my engineering, I used to read her books where she talks about entrepreneurs. In fact, she also wrote about a lot of social entrepreneurs, about the impact
Hmm.
space. So when Rashmi, I was doing this workshop, I stumbled upon it. I wrote to her saying, "Hey Rashmi, I am interested in joining." And she said, "This is workshop is for the people who are writing a book."
Okay.
Back then I was writing articles, I had my journals and everything, but I never really thought about writing a book, but this workshop, because I was so interested in joining the workshop, in a way I told her, you know what, I have all these journals, I have all these things blowing up in my mind. I think I want to write a book. I think I want to write a
Okay.
book before my 30th birthday. So I wrote very raw, sent her a very raw email saying, I was exchanging an email with Rashmi. She was offering a pro bono spot in her workshop. So
Hmm.
I wrote this in a very raw manner. I told her, hey, I have all these things in my journal, in my mind.
Yeah.
I want to write a story. I want to share my story. And my idea was, a lot of times people think you have to become successful to write a memoir or to write a book. My
Yeah.
idea was, hey, everyone has a story to tell, and we all need to share our story. Because a lot of times people reach out to me, right, for guidance. So it means that there is something I had done which people want to learn from. So
Right.
that's what I pitched to her. She saw some spark in me. I don't know what it was. She gave me that spot. I did that workshop, and during that workshop, I realized I wanted to make it a reality. I wanted to write that memoir, and I convinced Rashmi to mentor me for my book. And over the next few months, and I kept pushing myself. Rashmi used to say, "Don't rush on the timelines." I kept pushing myself, saying, "Hey, I want to write this by my 30th birthday." So, and
Hmm.
and the best part is, since I was working with Rashmi, and she was also very clear. You write these many words, then we will get on a call. So that also pushed me to work on hone my ability to write, and that's how Leap of Faith was born. It is my own journey where I talk about all these transitions, how I navigated different career paths, all the challenges, all the learning that I had over the period of time. And I
Hmm.
also talk about a few stories from some of the people who inspired me. Some of
Okay.
the people I look up to, I also briefly talk about their stories in my book. So that's how Leap of Faith was born. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about me, about my journey, about the choices I make, you can check out my book. It's on my it's on Amazon, Flipkart, on my
I'll
top.
attach the link in the description of this
Absolutely, yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. So I think during that journey, I started creating, because of Leap of Faith. I also
Hmm.
started creating a community where I could help other women. Like I said earlier, I used to help them one on one. So I decided, hey, why
Yeah.
should I be the only one connecting with? Why don't I have like a small WhatsApp community where people can come together and all of us can help each other? So that's how it started becoming a community, since I have this global exposure. So I wanted to create the space. And also over the last few years, I've also went through my own journey of being a mother. So I am a mother of a 3-year old, and that is when I realized I wanted to create a community for women entrepreneurs and leaders, because there's a lot that goes on, and I was
Yeah.
myself trying to learn and figure out how they do what they do, about learning about different careers. So I wanted to put together this community. So I do this during my free time. A volunteer. We have a team of volunteers who help shape this community, and we learn from each other. We do some sessions. It's been great. I think all of us are learning from each other, and it's a volunteer-driven community. So yeah,
Great.
that's how
I
it is.
think it's a very interesting story on how did somebody write their own book. But great.
Yeah,
Now let's move towards the rapid fire section. And I would just say let's be quick and be honest.
yeah,
Whatever comes to your mind
sure.
first. Okay, so here we go. Engineer, brand manager, product leader, author. Which one feels the most like you?
Product leader.
Great. Most overrated piece of career advice.
Career is a ladder.
Okay. Barcelona or Bangalore? Where does home feel like now?
Bangalore.
A belief about success you've completely changed your mind on.
It's not about financial, again, it's not about the titles, it's about creating the impact. It's about making sure you enjoy, and you truly believe that's the right career for you.
Yeah. Uh, the moment the book felt real, not finished, but real.
The first draft, when I sent it to Rashmi, it felt real.
Yeah.
It had to go through a lot of editing, but it felt real.
Okay. What do you think you're still getting wrong?
Getting wrong, I would say, figuring out. A lot of times I keep pushing myself a lot. I'm someone who has to do a lot more things, and I'm sometimes hard on myself that, oh,
Yeah.
there's so many things I still have to do. I think that is what I'm figuring out, having that patience with myself, that I can't do everything. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I'm figuring out.
Something that you gave up to get here that you don't talk about.
Honestly, I'm not sure because I always feel like I said ISB did not work out, but Isade happened. So I somehow
Yeah,
feel like maybe like that experience taught me that even though that the dream did not happen, something else clicks up, right? So now, by the way, I'm enrolled into a women leadership program at ISB.
it
Yeah,
worked
it's
out
all
out for you.
connecting
Yeah,
back for me. So
yeah,
I'm going to go back to campus and be in
great.
ISB for a few
Yeah,
days as well. So I think, yeah, it's like that. The goals keep shifting, but it all connects eventually for you. Yeah.
okay. One thing corporate India still gets completely wrong about ambitious women.
See, lot of times they assume, like I think especially during my maternity, I realized they assume that
Hmm.
while it's good that they give you the freedom, they give you the choice, they shouldn't assume that you want to lean back, right? They
Hmm.
should ask you, they should give you the choice. Because
Right.
I raised my hand during my pregnancy. So again,
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's for everyone. You need to balance. You need to give the
Hmm.
choice. You need to ask. You need to listen, and then make sure that they have those opportunities.
Right. So, last question. If there's a young woman who's watching this, who's first generation from a small town and feeling like that she does not belong,
Yeah.
what would be your words to her?
See, I think it's a journey. All of us will feel that we don't belong at that
Yeah.
at any point in time. You have to continue the journey. Don't give up. Keep trying. Keep chasing. After a few years, things will start connecting back. So it's more about showing up each day, being
Hmm.
persistent, and really working towards what you truly believe. So it might not happen in a few months, it might not happen in a few years, but after 10 years or so, you will look back and realize that it'll all connect back.
Great. So thank you, Sindhu. That brings us to the end. What I would like to say is that you are among the very few people that I meet who does not who actually follows what she wanted. Like when I heard your story, what I realized that I am somebody who calculates a lot things on paper in terms of ROI, finances. I make a lot of decisions on that terms. But hearing your story, what I realized that at the end of the day, you need to follow your heart, and things do fell into place. So thank you so much for this very honest conversation. I think you were very passionate about what you did and what you do, and you gave great answers. And I hope that our viewers also feed off the same energy that I felt while hearing your story. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Chaitanya. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. It always helps you to connect a few things which you would otherwise miss. So I always
Yeah.
enjoy these kind of conversations, reflecting, and yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Okay. So thanks everyone. I'll be attaching Sindhu's LinkedIn and Topmate in the description. Please feel free to reach out to her and share it with somebody who you think can benefit from this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.